Corridor of Uncertainty, the podcast at the intersection of maths and sports. My name's Jess.
And I'm Rich.
And we're both mathematicians at the University of York. And today we're joined by a friend of the show, James Reade, Professor of Economics at Reading University.
Hello.
So we've got a World Cup coming up. Let's think about England's opposition in the round of 32 then.
Mm-hmm.
So England are in Group L, which is one of those where they'll play a third placer. So actually this isn't an obvious question, as in who are they going to play? But I suppose the first question is, what are the chances of winning the group then?
Mm-hmm.
So did you say you had that?
So James has calculated that, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I have England at 53% to win the group and then 38% to finish second.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have England at 93% chance to make it out of the group. So I'm going to assume that means they win it a lot.
Because the other way they don't make it out is either a really low third place team or they're fourth. They're definitely not third.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they do win, which we've saying is about a 50% chance, then they'd get a winner of one of the third place teams. So yeah, what have we got? Start with you then, James. Who do you think's our most likely opposition in that round of 32 then?
So I have our most likely opposition, a slightly fearsome Colombia at 26%. Followed by sorry, go on.
Because I have Uzbekistan as the most common.
I had them previously as most common because if the Group if the Group K team is one of the 8 best third place teams, they always play the winner of Group L. Absolutely always.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's no variation for Group L's third place team. If they get into that top 8, they will always play Group L, which could be 53% chance, let's say.
Right.
So therefore, because I've only just looked at it now, because I previously had Uzbekistan, and that's how I worked it out. I've got Uzbekistan at 15% now.
Yeah.
And so I don't actually, because Colombia would probably be second place in Group K. It seems unlikely they'd be third place. So I'm not really sure why I've got Colombia as high as I have, but Colombia there. Also Portugal is a possibility in the last 32 as well.
That's my top three basically by quite good margin, and then Congo are the fourth place. So it's all basically. I think that's probably third places in group. In the group just above England. If
England are the runner-up in L, they play the runner-up of K. They're one of those that the runner-up gets a runner-up.
So that is
right. So coming in again.
Yeah, so it's L versus K by that, and that's why I mean that could be a disastrous England campaign, couldn't it? Having to play Portugal or Colombia in that second the first knockout stage, they're gonna.
Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Did that go to penalties at the last World Cup?
Yes.
And England actually won it first. I'm going to make this wrong again. First time ever that we won a penalty shootout in my lifetime, at least.
Exactly what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. So it could be a good omen.
And not just your lifetime, Jess. I think absolutely.
Really ever.
Right. in the World Cup it wasn't it? Because I think we won the Spain shootout in '96. But other than that, every single shootout more or less.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't that common, but I remember. Yeah, as I say, I remember that being a massive. Felt like a turning point in England's fortunes.
Great moment. I'm going to put you on the spot, Rich. Who scored the winning England penalty? Who was wheeling away?
I can barely remember.
Eric Dyer.
The game.
Yeah, I was going to say it's Eric Dyer. Yeah. Okay. Right. Excellent. That's interesting. We've sort of talked a little bit there then about us potentially ending up, K and L, these things. Is there a group of death? Is the question. So I'll go. Rich, first, do you have an idea of who's the group of death?
There was a couple of ways. So there's the sort of like classic way of working it out would be using the graph I'll pop up on screen here of just taking then the average ELO rating.
Yeah, because you're on the ELO world.
Yeah.
These are
So the average ELO rating in the group. So like that's going to give you an idea of the strongest group.
Yes.
And that would be Group I is the strongest group.
Okay.
France, Norway, Senegal, and Iraq.
Is Iraq? Oh, it's Iraq. Of course it's Iraq. Right, yeah. Of course I know it's Iraq. Right, yeah.
But the other way I think you could work it out is to take the outcomes of the World Cup and then look in the groups. I was thinking, got percentage of making it through those rounds. What group has the lowest variance in those percentages of making it out the group stage. So like what group has the highest chance of any team going out?
Okay.
So it's like, so if you think about it, Spain's group, obviously Spain are going to go through. So they have a 99% chance of going through. The team at the bottom probably has a 1% chance. The variance of getting through that group is going to be high because there's big variance in it.
Okay.
If it's low, it's going to be evenly distributed across the group. Therefore, that's what I would say could be a group of death, in that you could go out by accident.
Right. So
there's a higher chance of you going out.
It's basically kind of, if you'd looked at, instead of taking the average LA rating, if you'd done the variance in the LA rating, that would have been kind of how competitive
probably going to give a
is.
similar sort of
But
thing.
actually, what you're doing is you're doubling down on your predictions, looking at your probabilities of getting out, then looking at a variance of that, because that also would take into account, I'm asking you what's the group of death. And so, okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to say that group would be group D.
D.
That's the lowest variance. The
USA, Paraguay, Australia, and
another team.
Turkey.
Yeah, so that's actually one that has, so Turkey, I would say. That's what I would say is the real group of death, in that it's going to be quite easy to get knocked out, rather than it being a tough group to get through. Because for some, France are going to get through that group. It might be tough, but France are going to get through. Whereas
a group of death has to involve multiple big teams.
Yeah, I think
that's the general definition. But I think it's a more accurate statistically definition.
So
to talk about.
You're trying to redefine what group of death is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's. I mean, traditionally it's so. Like you say, traditionally it is. There's 2 or 3 massive.
It's usually 2 because of the way things get drawn. It's 2 big teams, 1 kind of wild card.
Yeah.
This is the group of death. But I think that's a more accurate one, is to say which group could any of the teams go home quite easily, and that's what the stats say.
Okay, Rich. Okay, right, James Reade, take us back to
to reality.
Common sense.
No, not at all. Take us back to a different set of numbers. I'd have taken the same approach as Rich. My average ELO gives Group I and Group K as the strongest groups. Group K is Portugal, Congo, Uzbekistan, and Colombia. So Portugal and Colombia, I guess, they're kind of in that little group below the absolute top teams. So if you think about the strongest groups on a mean ELO basis, yes, it's those. But equally, I think it has to be that it's a very well matched group, and so it's a little bit of a lottery. Excluding the fact that there's no big teams. Therefore, the lowest range of ELO ratings I have is for Group D. Bottom.
That's the same. So you're finding that's the close.
Same thing. So it's a close group idea rather than the
what's interesting. So what's interesting is that in variance terms, that's also the case. By some way, Group D has the smallest variance of ELO ratings by my metric. But then you've also got 3 other groups, actually 4 other groups that have got lowish variance, which are A, B, F, and G. Now, Group A, going back to then your third metric, which I think is a good one, which is, post hoc after the simulations, what are the lowest probabilities? Well, what I have Group D, because obviously Group D, we said that's, minimal differences. So there I've got the Group D winner is with 35% chance USA, 26% chance Turkey, 20% Paraguay, 19% Australia.
Wow, I wouldn't have put Australia at bottom a priori, but anyway.
What about the ELO ratings? And then Group A has Mexico at 36%, Czech Republic at 34%, South Korea at 20%, and South Africa at 10%. So, and the point basically is that the other ones, A, B, and then the other ones, B, and then F and G, they all have the winner being 50-60% chance, and so on. So it is, I think it is either of A and D, and I would say it's D, with the exception of the fact that there's no big teams in there. But the USA is in there, so it's bound to attract significant interest.
I could say A, B, and D are all the host groups, so they're all the ones drawn as the top team in that group. Therefore, you've eliminated one strong team, and that's why it's more even.
Yes,
Australia.
That can often end up being like it's unlikely to be the group of death type of thing because
So I think the Australia thing is that ELO ratings. They're not playing teams outside Australasia enough. Outside Oceania, sorry, that's the FIFA group
great
that
Australian league players of the past. So I'm like, Australians are a massive football nation, obviously.
That probably means that their ELO is higher than it should be, which therefore means you might see them doing.
But maybe they're not getting those bump ups because they're only playing weak teams. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say was, that hosts going into groups, because Group B is very weak.
Yeah.
On ELO rating terms. Yeah. By some
That's
way.
like the opposite of a group of death, the group of life.
Yeah, exactly. Because Group D is not a million miles away from, in terms of an average, I have it kind of in the middle of the pack. So Group D isn't as contrived. Certainly Group B is, Canada, Bosnia, Qatar, and Switzerland. It's I suspect it's the one that, apart from in those four countries, no one's really paying that much attention to, really.
I don't know. You'll know better than me about this. I don't know how much of it's true. I'm sure I've heard a rumor at some point that Switzerland, because the FIFA rankings that we've talked about that could be used to determine where you finish, they're based on a sort of ELO approach. It's not exactly ELO ratings, but it's based on that approach. And I believe that, as I say, I don't know if it's true or not, but that Switzerland clocked this and started arranging friendlies and things to build their ELO rating, because it does help you out in terms of competitions where you're seeded and things. So is that true? Is there any truth to that, do we think?
That's interesting. So actually, that brings me to something else that you raised up, and that's very relevant now.
Okay.
So what I wanted to look at is how the groups matter. Yep. So how does it matter what group you're in? What I did to play around with that is I took each of the groups, tiered them in terms of 1, 2, 3, 4, sorting by the ELO rankings, then randomly 10,000 times. So rather than running 10,000 versions of the same World Cup, I ran 10,000 World Cups where we rotated those teams around. So like swapped first team, randomly swapped the top.
As the groups are seeded, that there is a 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's not just completely random groups, but you've swapped out a 1 for a 1. Okay, right, yep.
So, and then looked at the difference in the outcomes between that randomly shuffled, tiered shuffle, I'll call it, World Cup, and the sort of traditional predictions that I'd already done. So I looked at the difference. And the biggest single difference is Switzerland. They get a 30% bump of making it through the round of 32 because of the group that they're in. Yeah. So they're doing much better than you would think because of the group they're in. So they have benefited. So that's group staging as well as kind of ordering, but that suggests that maybe there is something to this. Although obviously the ELO is the number that's in there, and maybe this ELO has worked out differently rather than
you're not using the FIFA
rankings. The other thing though about this, Spain, Argentina, and France are all slightly penalised by their group. England slightly benefit from it.
Really?
So 2% increase from shuffling.
So Spain, Argentina, and France, HIJ.
Or 2% change from shuffling.
Yeah, okay. So that is that potential group.
Not a bit surprising, but it's only 2%. As I say, that Switzerland is a big bump. But yeah.
And did you spot anything, James? Any peculiarities of the particular bracket that we've got this year?
Well, so the way in which I kind of thought a little bit about that was looking at those last two probabilities, because you should obviously expect to see the big teams all about 98, 99%. And France are a little bit below that. I guess being in the same group as Norway. And then Portugal and Colombia are also a little bit below that as well. Again, being in a group with each other. So there's quite a bit of variation. So you'll put the plot on the screen that I've made, that shows you that variation, kind of more variation almost at last 32 qualification level than really at any other stage of the competition for these probabilities. So it does, in my mind, that does suggest there is something significant there in terms of the group you're in, and therefore the likelihood that you take mattering.
I'm gonna put a wild suggestion out there, right? What if it was like the FA Cup, and it was just you did the games? Well, I suppose for the first one we would do the rankings, but from then on, it was just out of the hat who you get in the next round.
So I also did do
All right.
a completely random shuffle,
Okay,
which is
great.
kind of like this. So
Yeah.
just like completely just disorganize the groups entirely, just shuffle the teams,
So
completely random selection.
intuitively, this should penalise these top-seeded teams like Switzerland because you're now not getting the protection of not facing each other.
So actually what you get is just complete reflection of the rankings in the percentages.
Yeah.
So those graphs that I had earlier of the percentages, and you can see there's dark spots and light spots. It's sorted on the left by the starting ELO going in. When you look at that for the completely random shuffle, I'll pop it on screen now. It's just completely smooth. So the stronger teams do better, the weaker teams do worse, and it's almost guaranteed. So that random arrangement shows that the group stages do have a benefit by having
no, as in a benefit.
Seeding. Oh no, so benefit to weaker teams.
Yes.
Weaker teams are more likely to go through because it's seeded. They can have a little bit more chance.
So the opposite of what I thought.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you think that actually that would be a better tournament design if there was a smooth, the best teams.
I mean, partly, I'm using probability and running repeated runs, therefore stronger teams are more likely to win more often. So it's going to perhaps smooth out those random outcomes. Perhaps you get more of a tail in, really random teams winning in that setup. But yeah, it's
there's another way of organizing your tournament as well, which is obviously you and this is Alex Creamer's done quite a lot of work on this, which is there's two ways in which you might do it. One is that you get to the end of the group stages and you know who the best 8 third place teams are plus the first place and second place teams, and then you rank them at that point, and then you allocate first versus last and so on in a kind of a playoff tournament, thoroughly based on how well they did in their groups. Another one, which again, Alex Creamer would be able to tell you, tournaments that do operate on this basis, there's an idea that you choose your opponent. So you get the last
I love that. I've seen this. I love this idea.
Who you're going to play, and obviously, your Argentina or your France, your Spain, and you see that Cape Verde has qualified, and so you pick them for your last 32 pick. But obviously that then motivates your opponents. You imagine there's a psychology there which you can't get at with a simulation because these are teams playing each other. But you imagine there's some kind of added motivation that they think we're rubbish. We're going to show them. Obviously you don't get. But yeah, that's another way that you might organize.
I love that as an idea. Like you say, nightmare for people trying to predict what's going to happen because you'd have to model their choosing strategy. But I think this would be so interesting, and it would stop that. We talked about this before. This tanking idea. I remember. I think it was maybe the last World Cup for England when we were playing Belgium in the last game, and in a sense, it was a bit like, actually, do we want to win this group? Is it better to be? Because there was a group of death, wasn't there, that we were trying to avoid. So in that sense, it would stop that because you'd really want to win so that you could pick your opposition. And I would love to, I can see it being televised now, like the NBA draft lottery, draft night, where it's like, right, you've got 10 minutes to decide who's your opposition. And then off you go. Oh yeah, that'd be excellent. Nice suggestion, Alex Creamer. Brill. Okay, thank you both. Is there anything else that you found in your analysis that you thought was interesting that you want to tell us about?
Only that it underrates England. 10% is not enough. I'm less than that, even 8%. I mean, the thing is, these things all change, right? You sit here at the start and say this is what it is. By the end of the group stage, it'll be a very different set of probabilities. Obviously, you then know who the last 32 opponent is, and that's kind of when I guess almost the real fun begins. But yeah, I mean, I always find these things really interesting to do because you learn so much more about the structure of the tournament. In particular, where those best third place teams are going to end up, which groups are paired with each other, those second place combinations. What decides where the third place teams and the second place versus second place and so on, where these all go in. And you imagine it has to have an impact. And I like the fact that you've done that, Rich, and you've looked at essentially randomizing it afterwards. Because I mean, I don't know whether these A's, B's, and so on are set up before the teams. It must be before the teams are then put into the groups, and then you find obviously that one team, has that much easier path. But yeah, I think I love doing these kinds of things. It's really interesting to share insights as well.
Yeah, I think that so two things that I think we've picked up on from this episode. Number one, we all need to watch Group K because that's crucial. Well, the England fans need to watch Group K because that's crucial for us, see what goes on there. And number two, we all need to be really watching carefully for the number of red and yellow cards that teams get because it could make all the difference, cheering them like goals
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
Portugal are getting a red or not. So, yeah, brilliant. So, thank you so much for joining us, James, and sharing your predictions with us.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you on the Code of Uncertainty again soon.